Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it When Lightning Strikes. What I mean by lightning is when you find yourself, let's say, disturbed, your peace seems to be gone, a lot of emotions, all this movement that seems to be taking place. Well, the tendency, by believing that I'm this separate entity, is to go to the mind and figure it out. What does it mean? Where does it come from? Now, the invitation here, which is how I live my life, because that's the way it's been unfolding, my experience has been that when there's heavy movement, at least for me, is to do nothing. Especially not trying to engage the mind. Just being with it. Just allowing it to be. In other words, everything changes because the only thing that is constant in this world of appearances is change. But what I am never changes. What I am is the underlying background, which is right now, while it seems as though there's a you listening to this information. Right now, when I invite you not to identify with the content of the mind, when I said if you see the thoughts or feelings, sensation just by being, all that is happening is that you are resting in that beingness, which is what you are, and now all the movement can be seen rather than judged, and consequently not experiencing the effects of that judgment. This is not trying to cop out or something, or to try to suppress or deny. This is not what it's about, because then we're missing the mark here. I'm pointing to the fact that right now all that there is what is, and that is a fact. That is not theory. This is not something we're making up. Right now, whatever feelings are experienced are what is experienced. Whatever thought seems to be crossing the mind are the thoughts that are crossing the mind. Whatever seems to be happening in the world around you is what's happening. And that is already happened. It's already happening. There's nothing I can do about it. You know, if you have a feeling, a sensation, it's already expressed, it's there. What can we do? And that's the point. The mind wants to do something because it wants to somehow get rid of it, or is in resistance to it. That doesn't mean that if there's a particular feeling or sensation or situation that someone can do, you can do something about it for that to change, that you will not do anything. No, this is not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that we just see things as they are, not as how the mind is trying to make them up. That's what I mean. And then from that space, notice how life naturally moves you to do or not to do, but at least there is no suffering. All that there is the presence, which is. These videos are pointing to the fact that I am, to the presence itself, which is always, which is constant, which never changes. And then when lightning strikes, at least the lightning can be seen as just that, lightning, but it has no effect on you. Emotions can be there, sensations can be there, feelings, thoughts can be there, but none of that can have an effect on you. We're pointing here to the you, and right now you are being. You cannot not be. Always remembering that these videos are paradoxical. I may suggest, as an invitation, it's something you do if you feel like it, that there's no need to do anything, but you will not do anything because I am saying. So it's because that's what's supposed to happen in your life. So it's learning to live within the paradox. I can say do ABC, but you will not do ABC because I'm saying it. You'll do ABC because that is what you're supposed to do. In the same way that me sharing this information is part of what is supposed to be happening. How do I know? Because it's happening. You see? But now we're just recognizing that peace that surpasses all understanding, that is not an intellectual peace. This is one of the things, sometimes people want to put this into practice, but this is not something you put into practice. you don't try to practice the peace that passes all understanding, because the peace that passes all understanding comes with a comprehension. It does not come with an understanding. It's the fact that I am. That fact that I am, which is where these videos are pointing to, is what allows for the peace that surpasses all understanding to take place. That's why, in a sense, the you who you identify with is the obstacle, and we're just pointing to that in which the you that you seems to identify with seems to appear in. Right now, again, this is not esoteric, this is very practical, this is very obvious, let's put it this way. Right now, are you not being? Now, don't conceptualize, because it's not a conceptual understanding. This is an intuitive. You know that you are being. Breathing happens. You feel that you're alive. That aliveness, so to speak. That is where this is pointing to. And that aliveness has no conflicts. The aliveness itself has no conflict. The space has no conflict. You see? The movement, which is nothing but thoughts, and thoughts believed in, it gives the appearance of conflict. But it's only because the identification goes with the movement rather than withdrawing the identification from the movement and just being a witness of the movement. The witnessing capacity has no conflict. It's just simply witnessing. See? But that witnessing capacity is the undoing of this false you. And again, the only reason why this, which is the most obvious thing, is being overlooked is because of the fear of letting go of this me. You see, it's like now this me wants to put this into practice. Okay, I want to practice what it's like to be observing. No, you don't have to practice being observing, because observing, it's already happening. Is the conceptual mind that takes whatever seems to be observed and then gives it a meaning. And this is where the problem comes in. First, I am observing, and what I am observing are these objects. But how about if you just right now notice that observing is happening, or seeing is happening? Have you noticed that? Without the mind engaging, seeing is already happening. Full seeing is already happening. Full hearing is already happening. Full sensing is already happening. Without your consent, you're not turning on the seeing capacity and then turning it off. Even if you were to close your eyes, you're still seeing through imagination, because all of this is imagined anyway. You're not turning off hearing. Hearing's happening. You can turn it on, turn it off. No, you can't. You can cover your ears, means nothing. The capacity of hearing still there. Can you turn your feelings off? No, you cannot turn your feelings off, because not your feelings, these are just feeling sensations. The problem is when you believe that there's you, this individual, now you think these are my feelings, these are my thoughts, but where do they come from? If they are your thoughts, tell me in which pocket you find them and you say, okay, this is where they are here. I'm going to reach into this pocket or this space or whatever, which I can see, quote unquote, right? I'm going to look into that. I'm going to pull a bundle of thoughts. I'm going to look at the thoughts and I'm going to say, I'm going to have this thought and this other one. No, thoughts appear. Where they appear, from where? Tell me. They appear out of nothing and they dissolve into nothing. But when the mind hangs on to them, it gives them the appearance that they are something, but they are not something, just clouds. Look at the clouds right now. It seems that there's something there, is a cloud, but if you go right through it, you don't hit a cloud, because all that is just smoke, pure smoke, nothing solid there. So are the thoughts. See? The feelings may appear solid because they seem to be sensed, but again, we're going back to what we're talking here. Who is the one feeling the feelings? Who is the one hearing the thoughts? Who is the one thinking the thoughts? Who is the one listening? Who is that one? And what you're going to find out is that you cannot find the one that is listening. You cannot find the one that is feeling. You cannot find the one that is seeing. All you will experience is sensing, feeling, hearing. You see? That's just the experience, but that's not who you are. Who or what you are, which is beingness, pure beingness, it's always. Now, notice how there's a tendency to identify with a thought that says, I am this individual, separate from everything else, and now I'm trying to get stuff. You see? Because I need to somehow complete myself. But how can you need to complete yourself if you're wholeness? Once again, intellectually this cannot be understood, because intellectually the mind is the one that created the division in the first place. From a divided mind, this cannot make any sense. The mind has already established, or the thought has already established, I, person, you, separate from me, world separate from me. From that point, from that standpoint, there's nothing we can do. It's impossible. Because that same mind or that same thought system, whatever, already is beginning from a false premise. I am this individual and there's nothing we can do. And that individual now supposedly is trying to do all kinds of thoughts to either become better or even to awaken. I don't know, it doesn't matter. But what we're pointing to here is to the fact that right now you are. Are you not being? That there's feelings and sensations, sure. I don't know, I'm guessing. Seeing seems to be happening, assuming that you have the capacity of see. But again, you may not be able to see physically, but the fact you can imagine, that's seeing. So it's the same thing. Hearing seems to be happening, but the you that we're pointing to is prior to all of that. And the closest we can get to that, which is no closest because you're already that anyway, but because the limitation of language, the closest to that experience is when, if you don't identify with the content of the mind, with the thoughts, if you don't believe any of them, not even the thought, I am hearing this video or listening to this video or watching this video, it doesn't matter. Or the thought, I'm feeling this, or I'm sensing this, or the thought, I am hearing this, or the thought, nothing. Just if you don't believe any of the thoughts, what remains is the space. We call it space to give it a name. In reality, it's just beingness, wholeness, eternity. That's what remains, and it's happening right now. It can never not happen. This is where this is pointing to. Right here is the obvious. You're sitting, you're it. Until the mind goes, okay, I am here doing this. I am here practicing this, or I want to get something or somewhere, or things be different. No, you are. All of that is just lightning striking, that's all. But you simply are. You remain as you are. And you see, that lightnings have nothing, has no ground nothing to hit. Yeah, the lightning may be there, feelings are there, sensations are there, thoughts are there, sound is there, that's fine. That's lightning striking. But you have nothing to hit, because you simply are. And we're pointing here to the fact that you are. And right now you cannot not be. Are you not being right now? You are. So in that beingness, tell me, what problems can you possibly have? None, because beingness have no problems. Beingness have no conflict. Beingness, it simply is being. And now what seems to be the problems and the conflicts are all this lightning, in the form of thought, judgments, interpretations. Now you can see them. and you live your normal life, you know. The difference is that you don't take it so personal. You don't take it personal. You don't take it seriously. It's just what happens. But what if this or what if that? I don't know. It's living in the I don't know. Because the truth is, I don't know. I know nothing, and yet I am. Resting the I am. And that's all there is. Okay, this is the inspiration that came through. I hope it served. And as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can be extended.